We can't transform anyone. We can't transform anything. The only possibility inherent at birth is that of self-transformation.
So my question, the thing that really, my personal koan currently revolves around this idea of opportunity cost. That if I make a decision and I say yes to something, I say no to something else. And my friends and husband tease me that I have FOMO, but I just feel this drive. Like I want to live my life. I want to spend an eternity with you. I want to spend an eternity with Astrid and with some of the people that I've met here. And there's so much that I want to accomplish. Like I want to save Ukraine. I want to, I want to make an impact on the world. I want to help people. And the magnitude of the directions that I could go in my life, even just picking a spiritual path, becomes overwhelming to me. And I find myself sometimes frozen with how do I make a decision of where I should be putting my attention. And many of the things that you've shared so far have really profoundly affected me. And when you were talking about the warrior, putting all of your focus and attention on whatever, like it doesn't really matter. I have a lot of fear of like investing myself into something and then finding out that I was supposed to do something else, because I feel this desire to like save the world, and I feel powerless to do so. So discernment and making a decision about like where are my gifts supposed to go? That's my kind of the core. Mm.
It's a classic. It's a classic dilemma. We could also say classic dilemma of someone who is conscientious, intelligent, evolved. How can I be of service, right? How can I live life so that it impacts in a good way, right? Where can I be most in terms of my input that will leave the place better than I found it, right? How to add that healing touch. And it's a classic. Well, let me first just don't worry about the world, right? Don't worry about saving the world. Don't carry the world on your shoulders. Can we do that now? Can we do that now? Imagine that you had, put your hands like this, or like this, as if you held in your backpack, like an atlas, right? This ancient Greek hero holding that skies, right? His feet are sinking into sand. He's standing there somewhere at the Gibraltar, right? Atlas Mountains, holding skies, holding the world. Do you feel the weight of the world? No, I want you to feel the weight of the world, because you're feeling it internally. This world is heavy. I don't want to say as hell, because it's not really, shouldn't come from a spiritual teacher. This world is heavy, just mega heavy. right? And carrying on my shoulders because I want to save it. So can we just put it down? Can we just put it down? Just put it down, okay? Put it down.
I'm afraid of people telling me to put it down.
Yeah, you're afraid of people who telling you that. Don't be afraid, because do not be afraid yet. Because then, it's like, do not carry the world on your shoulders. This is very, very important. So before we even go anywhere, this is where I'd like us to proceed. It's a fundamental misunderstanding. Fundamental misunderstanding. The world is functions in a most extraordinary, exquisite way. With all that, including saving Ukraine, which is beyond being saved, right? Because it's messed up big time. It's a design, by design. So we'll leave that for a moment as a footnote. Every idea to save the world is accompanied by adding to the mess at the level where we can do without. What is important to understand sometimes and make that step, literally, to retract and to see this from very down-to-earth, simple perspective, and you will be backed up immediately if you need encouragement from those who went before you and realized that actually saving the world amounts of single person, single being at a time. Single person at a time. Not global. Global always, there is something tricky about global. Whenever we go global, something turns into machine. Something rolls over, and that whole precious, those beautiful butternut cups, flowers, are being smashed, bulldozed. We don't want that. And I haven't even said, before saving the world, we need to save ourselves first. So this is where the first step proceeds from. We cannot assist, let's say, in the dilemmas that we perceive and that are there in their actuality staring at us, right? Staring in our face. Unless we truly have understood how the world itself functions. So this one way or another needs to be either a true, fully all-encompassing esoteric perspective, or at least sounding scientific perspective, right? Like, where is the most energy? Where is the most power? Where's the most energy? It shocked me to the core when I learned that 1 cubical centimeter of vacuum contains the power of the entire visible universe, including what's visible through the Hubble telescope. 1 cubical centimeter of vacuum. These are physics, reality of physics. This goes beyond mind, right? All this. So also how all these principles, all this conservation of energy, like all these principles, it's very important to understand where the levers are that move the planets, right? Remember that Archimedes of the Syracuse declared, give me the lever and I can lift off the earth or the moon. He was the mathematician of the Roman Empire. I don't know if you remember that famous declaration, right? He burned the fleet of Carthaginians by using the warp, effectively speaking, shiny surfaces to catch the sun rays directed at the fleet of the, So very, very clever man. So what are these moving principles? What shakes and moves it all? At what level? So, because without this, we will be always propelled to plunge ourselves into action. And then we will also propel by being in a state where we feel helpless, right? Like, just look at the United Nations. It's the most painful thing to behold since its conception, right? As a beautiful concept that rose in the wake of the Second World War, where the decision we ought to come up together as human beings in the horror of what we've witnessed. So let's create United Nation. It's the most painful thing to watch. It's like the history of United Nation is the history of the impotence of people coming together to solve anything. So, like, effectively speaking. So this is what it really means, that how quickly we will become frustrated. Whereas if we assist in that, let's say, saving of the world, driven or motivated by the principle of understanding, somehow, by hook or by crook, there has to be this grokking it. There is no small or big. That somehow this small and big is an outlived paradigm. That whatever is now reverberated here, in this space-time, in whatever frame of connection, relation, that what already assists in greater harmony. In however minute way, we don't know. We shall never know. That also is accompanied by some sense which is tangible. Tangible. Yes, it's great to Bob Geldof. I've met him. There's a good friend of an old friend of mine, many times at lunches and all those things. Great regrets of all this, what he's known for what he was knighted. You know who I'm talking about? Bob Geldof. You don't know Bob Geldof now. He's a rocker from England who put together one of the most famous Aid concerts, where all the A-listers of their time sang in help of the famine in Africa. It's sometimes in the late 80s. Who remembers that? Yeah, good to know. In company of people of my age that are close. So that, it was disaster, that whole thing. Millions were raised, like literally, like as the concert was broadcasted, all the names there, all the David Bowies, all the Pink Floyds, all the Bruce Springsteens, all of them were there. All in that concert, right? But what it generated, what it caused, is a disaster, a disastrous effect. There was a documentary, BBC, he went there 10 years after. A more of a grown-up man, like less of an angry young kind of this rocker, right? He realized what a pathetically cocky gesture it was. We always go to the world and parts of the world we want to save. Sometimes with motives that are not very clear. Sometimes we mastermind these motives. Brits to this day try to brainwash children that they build railways across India and help to industrialize the country. The biggest BS if ever was. India was the richest country at the time. The textiles, Silk Route. Oh my God. The British Raj, right? To this day, they can't teach this in schools. They can't tell kids how and what it was. You see? Educating. Ayurveda was considered to be a voodoo. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah. How do you fight country? You first cut the country, you cut the culture at the level where culture comes from. You cut it at the root. You disconnect people from their very, very source of their vitality. These people were saving the world. They had this, they carried the flag and the slogans and everything. Slogans changed. Flags may be changed. Attitude remains. This is why I don't believe in saving the world anymore. No. World cannot be saved. It's perfect. Let's not taper with it. That's Tao Te Ching. Was presented humbly to the Emperor of China by Lao Tzu. There are these beautiful passages, right? World is perfect. So where is all this coming from then? If the world is perfect, right? Where all this imperfection, where all this injustice comes from? Like you're watching the videos, right? And you heard me speaking of Anunnaki and all this, right? Supposedly Advaita Teacher goes into the mess, right? I could have kept it clean, like all these together teachers, right? Stay clean, stay sharp, be on the ball, non-dual ball, right? Don't go there. It's a messy business. Lizards, right? Who's messing us up? We're humans, suddenly all gone into a terrible mess. What's going on? So seductive to start gosh, where all this stuff comes from? This is why nothing new I can add to this. You have to experience it once in your very own self, firsthand, that deep sense of inner peace. Once you experience that, touch that. That's it. That's it. You know exactly where and how it all works. No other way to know. Only when we experience that peace, even if we touch that peace, we know what can be done, what should be or should not be done. No other way. So you see, this is like where it completely turns all the way, because it's always with reference to the self. And this is the most difficult thing. The most difficult thing. We can't transform anyone. We can't transform anything. The only possibility inherent at birth is that of self-transformation. When we assist to that, then extraordinary things happen. The possibilities for that rises. Not hypothetical possibility. This is why I'm saying only when you experience that within, in coming out of that, all these questions, dilemmas lay asunder. Because you are the world. I am the world. I sit down as the world. I get up as the world. I move and I move not. Is the world moves with me, in me, as me? I don't know. It's no longer relevant. That has to be touched. Even once you touch that level, all the confidence, all the reassurance you need would be offered then and then. Everything else otherwise is subject to another united nation, another attempt to solve it at the level how the problem was created in the first place. I call it using shovels to quieten the pool water. You know, when the water in the pool like this, you take the shovels and you try to rake the water for it to become still. It will come still by itself. All that what swells you, see, all that injustice that you experience, I relate to everything. Maybe politically speaking, like geopolitically, maybe we don't see eye to eye. If we sit down, maybe we'll find in disagreement, or who started here, who is fighting for what and this. But the sense of injustice is shared, the genocide, the continued genocide, the apartheid, all that, legitimizing everything. People's life is being no more than a life of a fly, right? In so many countries. Of course, it churns my tummy. Only to check if I'm still human. Only to see that, see? How is it? Sits here. Does that robs me of my peace? If it does, I'm good for nothing. I'm not assisting nothing here. I'm only bringing more strife into what is already there. So, the only solution here seems to be is really, really to put that world, that heavy burden down. Put it down. Like heavy weight. Just like trusting that I don't need to carry it. Gravity is greatly, overrated? Right? Something like that. The Earth doesn't fall anywhere. Moon has been beautifully circumambulating Earth. Doesn't fall onto the Earth. What a precision. Such beauty. Even with the coming eclipse, this precision to beauty. That the proportion, how moon eclipse and a solar eclipse, how disks coincide with the circumference. How can that be? Who calculated that? This is extraordinary. Huh? So exquisite. This is what it means. It's perfect. Some mess here we created, right? Well, maybe it's to realize that, that God is not going to come on a white horse as a Kalki or second coming, all that kind of like fairy tale. No, it's time to grow up and clean up the mess, right? It's like growing up suddenly. It's this like a wake-up call, right? Waking up, like suddenly, like there's no such thing as like, that it will be sorted, the Messiah is coming, the final judgment, let's Jerusalem, holy this, let's finance Israel till the sooner the better, right? Because that's the prophecy, has to be fulfilled. It's just a nightmare. It's just some nightmare, some kind of a prolonged eclipse. Like something here, eclipse, completely like delusion. Hopefully it will pass, and it's like, we will, oh my, that was something, wasn't it? Oh wow, can you believe it? Jeez, woof. So, tend to yourself, dear. Tend to yourself, so that there is this glowing, soft, beautiful, golden light here, so that all that tapas, that term, is directed to this, so that it is not wasted into this and this and this, Gather that spark, that internal flame. Let it make you into the beacon of light. It sounds lofty, but yet it is a beacon of light. In you, things are settled. There is a conflict, there is a conflict, there is a conflict. In me, it is settled. Even for one day. For one day, I remain in peace. I hold peace. This is the duty, this is the dharma of a woman, the mom, the great Ma. She holds that in her hands, on her laps. And then another day, and another day she holds that again. Just one day, no need to look further. In me it is safe. The world in me is saved. Whatever that is, whatever the conflicts are there, I can resolve them. I have the capacity. I can do it. In me it is resolved. See? One day at a time. Who knows it? What they say there, right? The army of light workers. Who knows? Maybe. Right? Partisans, pirates, boarding our ships, right? You actually look like one. Yeah, shiver me timbers, all hands on deck. Right? Good. See, you get it. You get it. You get my sense of humor. That means a lot, because it's, people come to second, third retreat and they're still figuring it out. This guy thinks he's funny. He's not.